with the wildfires that continue to burn across northern Canada, keeping fire crews busy and forcing more evacuations. A wildfire in northern Manitoba has destroyed 7 homes in the Tataskweyak Cree Nation over the weekend. The community is located about 900 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. This is an aerial view of Tataskweyak from fire officials. The homes lost were located in a subdivision in the community. According to the leadership, the fire started northwest of the Tataskweyak on Friday and quickly grew larger and fanned by strong winds. About 175 residents have now been evacuated east to Gillam, Manitoba. The First Nation was also evacuated earlier this fire season. That previous evacuation order lifted after mid-June, but that date had to be postponed due to an ongoing water system issue there. A large fire has also been burning near the community since late May and is still listed as out of control by Manitoba. Here's what Chief Doreen Spence had to say about the homes lost.
We lost 7 homes, and to the families that lost their homes, I really don't know what to say, but I'm really sorry, but we'll be here for you guys, and whatever you guys need, and work on getting you guys new homes as soon as possible. You know, it's sad to hear that you guys, everyone's been away for so long already, and then you know, today was the day 2 that we were supposed to announce to update in regards to the water.
Manitoba has experienced one of the worst wildfire seasons in recent years, impacting about 21,000 people who had already been forced to flee last month. The people of Pimchikamat Cree Nation in northern Manitoba are also being evacuated yet again due to wildfires there. According to Chief David Monias, 3 evacuation flights were scheduled to land on Sunday for voluntary evacuees. However, only one was able to land due to heavy smoke in the area. Highway 374 was previously closed but is now temporarily open for those who want to evacuate by vehicle. Fire crews continue to try and keep the flames at bay, and air quality remains poor in the area. Chief Monias says while the evacuation order is voluntary, it's strongly encouraged for the elderly and those with underlying health conditions. So far, Red Cross has confirmed 60 hotel rooms have been secured for evacuees. A fire update from the province of Manitoba is expected today at noon. The largest fire in Manitoba has burned through over 370,000 hectares since it began in late May, which had prompted an evacuation order for the town of Flin Flon in western Manitoba. They returned home last week but say they're not out of the woods yet.
We are not out of the woods. Summer has just started, and this is definitely our reality.
More than 80 fires continue to burn across Manitoba there. In the meantime, hundreds of people are out of their homes in northern Saskatchewan. Authorities issued a mandatory evacuation order for the village of Beauval as a wildfire crept closer to the community. Officials have blocked roads and say charter buses will take evacuees to Saskatoon, with traffic only allowed to exit the community. And in BC, there are more than 80 wildfires still burning, despite firefighting efforts by land and air. And there are concerns these fires may spread as hot, dry, and windy conditions continue this week. The Isman Creek fire near Lytton, BC has now grown to 245 hectares. A First Nation in British Columbia just got a large part of their traditional territory back, and as APTN's Tina House reports, it's an opportunity for the nation to save old-growth forests and heritage sites.
The day started out with a ride in the Sea to Sky gondola to the summit, where traditional songs and drumming greeted guests at this special event. Squamish Nation leaders, elders, and community members celebrated the signing of the documents that signifies a new relationship between the nation and the province of British Columbia, as they can now protect over 20,000 hectares of land within their traditional territory. And with their traditional territory that extends from North Vancouver to further up in the valley to Howe Sound to small islands, Wilson Williams says this is a major win for them and their future generations.
It's the equivalent to 50 Stanley Parks. Included in that area are more than 30 new Siaman, Squamish, cultural sites, and 6 new special cultural management areas. These areas will be managed to protect old-growth cedar, culturally modified trees, and critical habitats. The agreement also includes provisions for future work on the shoreline and marine areas within our territory.
BC's Minister of Forests, Ravi Parmar, says he is honored to be part of this historic agreement.
This agreement is years in the making and builds upon previous agreements in 2017 and 2007 that will guide forest stewardship in this beautiful territory. And it sets the stage for further discussions around land use planning and provides certainty around when and where forestry activities can occur while protecting important Indigenous cultural values.
Kelseelam is the chair of the Squamish Nation. He says this agreement has spiritual significance as well.
We have very few places that we can call our own within our territory to practice our spiritual beliefs and our cultural practices. And we have to stand together as Squamish people to protect those areas so that our people, not just today, but future generations will be able to experience the gifts that our ancestors had for us, to be able to bathe in those creeks, to have a relationship with those mountains, to be in those forests, to harvest our medicines and our tools and the things that have sustained us.
Tina House, APTN National News, Squamish.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. We have to take a short break, but when we return, we'll take you to the East Coast where an age-old Migma tradition is at risk. Here's also a preview of what our Chris Stewart is working on.
I'm Chris Stewart. The Inuit community in Edmonton celebrated Nunavut Day early on Sunday. Despite colder temperatures and rain, dozens of people came to see old and new friends and experience Inuit culture and food.
Having events like this just fills that void a little bit, and I get to connect with people that I know and new people that I've met today. So it means more than words can say.
That's coming up on the APTN National News.
Welcome back. Over the weekend, the annual U18 Indigenous Cup in football wrapped up in Winnipeg. And after a tight match against Alberta, Team Manitoba claimed victory on their home turf. The tournament brought the nation's top Indigenous football talent from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Northwestern Ontario to Winnipeg from June 30th to July 6th. Day one saw Alberta winning 62-7 against Northwestern Ontario and Manitoba winning 42-6 against Saskatchewan. On Sunday, Team Saskatchewan claimed the bronze medal after a 50-0 against Northwestern Ontario. In the championship game, Team Manitoba scored a gold medal victory, defeating Alberta 42-34. Congratulations to all the winners. Todd Labrador is a practicing Migma traditional birch bark canoe maker in southwestern Nova Scotia. But the birch trees he uses are dying and the bark is no longer usable. However, Labrador has enough bark from last year to make one last Migma birch bark canoe. APTN's Angel Moore reports.
That was over 5 years ago. Todd Labrador and his family harvested a birch tree to make a canoe, a tradition that's been in the Labrador family for generations. That may soon end because Labrador says this summer the bark is no longer usable. The inner bark is filled with growths that make holes in the bark.
So we're getting to the point, and I don't see the disease leaving the tree. Once the disease is in the tree, it'll die in the tree. So it'll never go back to being smooth bark again. The next generation, which will be long after I'm gone, if it's healthy enough, but if this disease continues, I don't know what will happen. Yeah. So.
The Labrador family's traditional lands are now the Kejimkujik National Park and Historic Site. He is a member of the Acadia First Nation. For over 10 years, Labrador has shared his knowledge to park visitors at his workshop in the park. Brian Zwed is on holiday. He traveled from the U.S. state of Virginia to learn about Indigenous culture.
It's really difficult to find information about Indigenous people, and I read a little bit about the Migmas before I came here, but then I saw that Todd Labrador was going to do this demonstration, so it became a really easy to come here and learn something about the Migma tribe.
However, Labrador says the workshops may end. He says for the last 15 years, the bark has been too dry and the trees are starting to die. The inner bark is full of lumps, which Labrador thinks might be a fungus infection.
But I always thought clear-cut logging would be the one to cause the end, but it's not clear-cut logging. It's some kind of disease that's causing this. I don't know what the disease is caused by or what it's from, I don't know. But it would be interesting for some scientists to look at it and say this is what it is.
Labrador has enough bark harvested from last year to make one last canoe, but right now he's working on this one in his workshop. He uses trees that are about 8 inches in diameter, which take about 100 years to grow. He says if the bark trees are gone, his family tradition will be lost forever.
It's important, like canoe building was almost lost and then it's sort of been revived, but without bark we can't build birch bark canoes, Canoe is an important part of our culture because, it was our vehicle.
Parks Canada was not available for an interview, but said in a statement to APTN News they do not know why the birch trees are dying, but are working with the Migma to develop a conservation action plan. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Kejimkujik National Park, Nova Scotia.
A new space now is open at the Forks in Winnipeg, and it's inviting people to explore Indigenous culture, businesses, and experiences.
It's about culture, it's about history, and it's about stories that have always been here.
Indigenous Tourism Manitoba and the Forks North Portage Partnership have launched Explore Indigenous. It offers learning tools and interpretive displays and builds awareness about Indigenous tourism experiences and businesses.
Explore Indigenous
is a place where all people can come in, explore at their own pace, and learn what Indigenous tourism is all about from Indigenous people.
The space is also home to turtle tours, a walking tour and culinary experience. To complement Explore Indigenous, ITM is also launching a new guidebook, Adventure to Understanding, highlighting accredited operators across Manitoba. We now want to tell you about last week's web poll question results. Over on our website, our first question was, do you think Canadian honors from the Crown should be refused by those advocating for Indigenous rights? 44% of you said yes, 29% said no, and 27% are unsure. Our second question was, will a summit with the Prime Minister lead to change in how Indigenous rights are respected in One Canadian Economy Act? 55% said no, 29% said unsure, and 16% said yes. Thank you to everyone that took the time to answer for this week's new poll questions. Visit aptnnews.ca. The questions will be on the right-hand side of the homepage. Michelle Heniku has been missing from Big River First Nation in northern Saskatchewan since June 5th, and her family is calling for the public's help in locating her. We'll speak to Michelle's daughters right after this. Thanks for staying with us. Halifax 17 and sunny, Fredericton 21 and sun. Cartwright 19, La Grande River 17. Gaspé 17, Saguenay 16 and sunny there. Toronto partly cloudy and 29, Peterborough 27. Thunder Bay 20 and sun, Wawa 19. Puckatawagan 20, Thompson, Smoky there and 19. Gimli 19 and sun, Winnipeg 20 and sun. Regina 16, North Battleford sunny there and 16. La Ronge 16, Uranium City 18. 25 in Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray 24. Sunny in Medicine Hat at 31, Red Deer 25 and partly cloudy. 22 in Tofino, Penticton 33 and sunny there. Rain in Prince Rupert at 15, Prince George 25. 21 in Watson Lake, Beaver Creek, rain in there, and 18. 22 in Yellowknife, Fort Simpson 24. 18 in Colville Lake, Deline 21. Chesterfield 16, Arvey at 19. And Arctic Bay 6, Aglulik 7 in rain. Since June 5th, 40-year-old Michelle Heniku has been missing and last seen in Big River First Nation in northern Saskatchewan. For weeks, the Heniku family have been searching for their loved one, and RCMP Major Crimes has now said that Heniku's disappearance is suspicious in nature. Heniku is known to frequent Saskatoon, her home reserve of Tataskweyak Cree Nation, and Shell Lake. We recently spoke to Michelle's daughters, Aisha and Lakeisha Ahenu. Here's that interview. Aisha and Lakeisha Ahenu, thank you for speaking with us, and I'm very sorry that your mom Michelle is still missing. Can you explain when your mom went missing and the circumstances around her disappearance?
Well, my mom went missing on June 5th. She had made plans with one of her friends that day and never showed up. The last time she spoke to family was on June 4th, and we haven't heard from her from June 5th. And my sister and I were currently, in the fall, we'll be third-year ITEP students at the University of Saskatchewan, and this completely has just shaken our world. I don't even know how to go back to sorry.
Yeah, I know it really kind of put a pause on everything that you're doing in life right now and trying to look for your mom. RCMP Major Crimes has now considered your mom's disappearance as suspicious. Is there anything that you are able to say about the investigation and why RCMP have said this?
We began our search on June 14th, and as we were searching around Big River First Nation, my grandfather and I went to her last known location, and we found evidence such as a wad of hair. And I feel like my grandfather finding that hair is really he shouldn't have been the one to find that hair. And I've seen it, and I know my mother's hair, and that we are waiting back from the labs. They told us that it would take 90 days. So that was on June 14th, and I'm not too sure when 90 days would be, but I feel like that's such a long time to wait. And I know that was her hair because I seen it. She had a very distinct color of hair, and I feel like we know that it's her hair, but we're waiting for confirmation from the labs.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they ruled the case as suspicious in nature, is just because of what we found.
You talked about it a bit there, but can you talk about some of the recent searches that have been done for your mom? Where have people searched and why in these locations?
We began our search on June 14th, and we have been searching around Big River First Nation, but we cannot really say exactly where we searched because of we don't want to let any information that we have out just in case. We don't know the circumstances of it all right now. It's all just new to us, and we don't want to, I don't know,
compromise the investigation, hey?
Exactly. Correct. Yeah. But I do, we've had so much help from everybody in the community and our surrounding communities, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming and helping us. We can't do it alone, So having that community and seeing everybody there honestly strengthens us and motivates us to keep going. They have been such a support, and I feel like without them, I did not know where we would be today. It's an immense amount of support we have received from everybody.
That's very good to hear. I know when, a lot of our families in our Indigenous communities are struggling, everybody pulls in and helps. Is the Heniku family in need of more resources to help with future searches? And if so, what is your message to tribal councils and the public?
Well, any and all help is greatly appreciated. Like, we're not giving up searching. We're taking today we're taking a break, and we're just trying to, try focus on the lives that we do have, because life does go on, and everyone else has their lives. So we just want to give all of our searchers a nice break, and we want to, process all of this, and we want to head back out definitely soon, because we're not giving up. We're going to find her, and we're going to bring her home.
And finally, Aisha and Lakeisha, can you tell us about your mom and what kind of person she is?
She is such a fiery person. She has such a great and genuine personality. Her humor was amazing. She had no filter. She wasn't shy to say anything. She'd always light up her room. And yeah, you just really had to know her to love her. And she is really missed, and everywhere I look, I see her, and it's definitely, this is the hardest thing we've ever had to deal with. Regardless of whatever happened to her, we feel her with us every day, and we love her. Yeah, and I know that if she was okay somewhere, she wouldn't do this to us. And we've been getting messages, I know, from concerned people saying that they might have seen her, and I don't know, I don't know if I believe them, because I know what I seen, and I know her, and I know that she would never do this to us. And I just wanted to say one more thing, that this issue, missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and people, is like a really big issue in Canada. Every time you go on Facebook or you watch the news, there's something like it. And it needs to stop. We need to stop letting people hurt our women, like this. I want what happened to my mom to help others. I don't want anyone else to feel this way. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. And I just want to make a difference for the next family.
Aisha and Lakeisha Heniku, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for your time, and we'll be thinking about you and your family.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Yes, thank you. Thank you all.
That's your daytime newscast for this Monday. We're back again in a few hours for your evening newscast. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Ekse.